Hey guys, Justin at V55 Restorations here, another episode of V55 Garage. This one is a kind of how-to kind of garage video. Basically, I'm going to tell you what I look for when I go pick up a project trailer. So, I've hauled probably 30 of these trailers home now, and you kind of got to know what you're looking at. Some stuff can look terrible and be easy, and some stuff can look easy and be terrible. I'm not going to really get into that. This is going to be, I'm driving 4 hours to get a trailer. What should I bring with me? What should I expect to get it home safely? So that's what I'm going to go over. But I picked this up a couple weeks ago. This is a Mayflower trailer. Technically, it's a mobile home. This was the smallest they made. No, it's not technically a motorhome. It was advertised as a motorhome. Not a motorhome. Mobile home. And this was the smallest one they made. It's a camping trailer, according to the DMV and everything else. But I believe this is a 55 Mayflower. And when the questions I ask, when's the last time it was moved? Is it towable? And then if they say yes, I go, please elaborate, because that can mean a lot of things. Tires. First thing, you want to check your tires, and you want to have them send you a picture of them if you don't know. So you want to look for any checking. These are old tires, but they're bias ply. Most of these trailers will have bias ply trailer tires on them if they're old and original. A lot of farmers will throw radials on there or something just to move them around. But if it's got the original trailer bias plies, these things last forever. The tires themselves, they're tubed, so they have tubes in them. And if they're holding air, they're probably good if they're not all checked up. I like to bring spares and a compressor and all that kind of stuff. But if I got dual axles, if one blows, I know I'm not going to just fly off the road. And so I took these ones actually all the way down from Washington on these tires, and I haven't filled them up with air at all. They're holding fine. So you can look at the date code on the tire. You can look on Google and see where that number is, but there's date codes on the tires. If you're bringing tires, you want to know the size, which with old bias plies is going to be a dash. Like, let's see if I can show you one. Well, this one's got standard numbers. So this is 175. Is that 85, 14 and a halves, and let's see. Now these ones are all newer, but it'll usually be a dash like 7.00-15 or something like that. And that number 15 and 14 and a half in this case is your rim size. So there's only a couple different vintage trailer wheel lug patterns. This is the six lug pattern. I have a lot of old trailer wheels in the back, so what I'll do is I'll figure out what the bolt pattern is. A lot of the time the person won't know what the sizing is, but they can tell you if it's got 6 or 5 or 4 nuts on it. And I'll bring the wheels that I have with the tires that I have on for that size. But worst case scenario, go during a business day, find the closest tire shop nearby, call in advance, see if they have the tires. And a lot of places will do mobile service as well. You can get out to that kind of thing. But I'm not going to pay for that crap. But so I have a mobile compressor I bring. It's a 18 volt that goes with all my Makita, impacts and all those things. And it's a mobile compressor. It'll get air in it. Obviously, if it's got a slow leak, that'll work to get me to wherever. I'll bring a patch kit usually if I need to. For getting the wheels off, if you need to, you got to make sure you bring a jack. I bring a floor jack. Don't mess around with bottle or scissor jack. Just bring a full floor jack with you. And I have a big old Makita cordless lug impact, and it's specifically for this big giant thing. And then I bring all the standard lug size sockets that go on it for standard. These are all going to be standard being vintage trailers. And bring a breaker bar too, just in case it's really on there, but usually that big old impact will get it right off. So you want to do that, and then you want to check on these. Sometimes it's just a cap, and sometimes it's a screw-on. Like this one's a screw-on one. And you want to take that center cap off and check the bearings. So one, you want to wiggle the tire like this and see if it's loose. If it's loose, you probably got a bad bearing. But if it's good, just make sure there's some grease in there and it's not, liquid and gone, or it's not just hard as a rock. So I bring a grease gun and repack that if I need to before I move, because if that gets too hot with no grease, you can catch your axle on fire, catch your trailer on fire. These are mostly made out of wood. So that's it for the running. Just assume the trailer brakes don't work. They never will. So bring a big truck like our F350. We got another video on our bio about that. but just bring a big truck that doesn't that you're not going to need brakes. This is a 30-footer, and it pulls behind that just fine with no brakes, and is usually pretty cool. But sorry, I found a cool rock. My daughter will want that. And as far as lights go, also assume the lights aren't going to work unless they say they do. Have them, ask. These are bolted on at some point in history, but I just got a big 40-foot wired tow lights that I bring with me to make sure I'll have lights, even if they say the lights work. And zip ties and duct tape. Putting tow lights on a trailer is way different than a car because you can't go over it. You can't wrap it around the mirrors and do all that kind of stuff. So I usually will wrap it around something back here. I'll even hang it from the old lights, wrap it, zip tie it. You can also get away with going off around the plate. But this bumper isn't original. If that bumper wasn't there and these lights were originally flush, if those lights and that bumper weren't there, there'd be no place to hang lights other than around this. And this is aluminum, so magnetic ones don't work either. And so basically what I'll do is I'll put the lights right here, wrap them a couple times and zip tie them. They'll be pretty close to each other, but it'll get you home. And they do make the wireless ones. I've used them in the past. I don't love them. And so I have a wired pair, but usually wired pairs will only be like 18, 20 feet. I actually made a extension wire that's another 40 feet that I can plug into and go from there. So with your tow lights, if you have them, or the original lights on the loom, if you have them, there'll be different connectors. This is a 7-pin, more modern one. This is what most trucks will have, and that will include the trailer brakes, etc. in there. But like I said, this doesn't have trailer brakes, so essentially some of these are dead, but it gets it plugged in. This is a 4-pin. Older trucks will have this. Most newer trucks will have a second adapter for this, but my old trucks just have a 4-pin. So this will be your lights and your brake lights and your turn signals. No trailer brakes, no anything else. So make sure that whatever they have and whatever you have and whatever your truck driving is, make sure you got your right lights. Now they're up the tongue. The coupler, you want to make sure the ball's the right size. This one, excuse me. This one's a big ball. Most of them are 2-inch. Make sure the jack works. Ask them, because if not, you'll be using that floor jack that I told you to bring already. Most of the time, the jacks don't work. And you want to make sure this whole coupler is smooth and works well. And it will not have a pin or a bolt or anything. 9 times out of 10, there's nothing there. So I have a C pin that goes in and locks down. I have a whole bunch of different sizes. I'll bring a couple sizes of those when I go, but I haven't been above shoving a stick in there, just to make it happen. You can also put a bolt, put a nut on it, that kind of thing. But usually there's not going to be safety chains, or they're going to be old, rusty, or bolted on, or some kind of way not safe. So I'll usually bring a big chain. That's what this guy's on here for, a big old giant tow chain, wrap it around both sides, and then wrap it onto your truck real well. And any tanks that are on here, anything like that, may be loose. Bring tie downs and straps to get anything loose that's going to be on there. Your windows, if they're broken, either break them all the way or put some tape on them. Duct tape. You don't want those breaking on the road and flying into somebody. With the doors, this obviously isn't an original door, but most of the time the latches will be bad or misadjusted or something. So assume your door won't stay closed. So bring some tie downs to keep that closed, some duct tape, things, baling wire I'll usually bring. And same thing with any of these little flap doors, because the worst thing is to have everything and then you get home and your door's missing. And you're boned because you're never going to find another one. Same thing with your top vent. The vents on the top, those will be open a lot of the time. If they're open, they'll catch wind and be gone. So when you go inside, make sure you crank them down and they're good. If you need to, climb up there and tape those down as well. All the windows, the little jalousie windows, things like that, these will rattle loose sometimes. You want to check all those as well. And that's it in terms of pulling it. Tires, bearings, lights, safety chain, coupler. Those are the main ones. And then you want to find out if it's buried somewhere, if it's not really reachable, if they have a tractor on site to help you if you need it. I always ask that. It's nice to know, being in my back pocket. I have a trailer dolly that has a 2-inch ball on it, and you could pull stuff around. Obviously not with this, but a lighter one. I bring that with me in case I need to move it. Just pivot it to get it onto the truck easier. That's always good to bring. And then I'll always bring just basic electrical butt connectors, a big hammer, a big pair of channel locks for those bearing covers, like I said, the dust caps, and a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of snips, an impact with a Phillips and a standard bit, and then I'll bring my tire impact, my tire compressor, and my jack. And I think, and shovels. Bring a shovel with you, because a lot of the time, if you have to do something with the wheels or tires, you're going to need to shovel to get a jack into there if it's been there too long. And also, if you just need to get underneath the jack in the front, if the tongue jack doesn't work, you need to get a jack under there. A shovel is a good thing to have. And tapper screws. Jesse loves tapper screws, but bring tapper screws and an impact for the same reasons of stuff flapping around. You may get halfway home and this thing's falling off halfway, but you don't have the other stuff to get it off. I'm not saying you want to put screws and everything, but just have a couple in case, last case, on the side of the road, you have to use it for something. It's good to have, just like the zip ties and the duct tape. Tie downs, like I said, a sawzall is always good to bring. The same thing, a cordless sawzall. There may be something connected to something that you didn't realize, or a limb of a tree branch that's in the way that you can't get to. Sawzall is great to have with a big long blade on it. And bearing grease and the tools for that. Your safety chain, like I said, tow lights, zip ties, your hitch pin, and I always bring a little bit of spray grease too, just for if the coupler on the front is tight. Make sure you have the right size hitch ball. Really important. I bring a couple with a couple different drops, because you never know how it's going to sit on your truck until you get it on there. So if you have 5 hitch balls, just bring them all. You're good. If you're driving, just bring them all, because I can't tell you how many times I tried to find a Harbor Freight because I wanted the tongue dropped 2 more inches. Last thing is stuff not related to the trailer. Bring a bill of sale for whatever state you're in, just in case the good paperwork they have is not that good. So you want to at least get a bill of sale with all their information on it. Bring a battery charger, if you have one, a jumper, so you can charge your phone. You can charge your battery if you break down out in the boondocks trying to get the thing, which again I've done. And cash. Always have cash on you, because when you go pick up this old trailer from great grandpa's barn, you get in there and it's full of treasure. They're not going to take Venmo, so have cash in your pocket, and then you can, hey, can I get that toolbox too? Sure, $10. Everybody wins. So, like I said, this is a Mayflower, and that's kind of your primer on what to. Oh, and take your hubcaps off before you leave, because if not, they might be gone when you get home. Hubcaps go inside, and plate. Make sure your plate matches whatever information you got, and look for a VIN on the tongue. That normally will. They'll be kind of stamped into the tongue. You can check your paperwork. I think that's it, but there's always something. Once you get on the road, once you get there, there's always something else. I can't tell you everything. Just go with extra tools and a sense of adventure. I'll see you guys next time. Justin, Vintage 55.